All right, all right. Good morning, everybody. How we doing? How are you all today? I was working through some stuff. I've got like one, two, I got 3 cameras. Can't even count to 3. Set up for today's stream. You've been watching the Sony KV-20FS100 that I'm about to work on here. And still running right behind me in the shop. How is everybody? What's up, Kyle? How you doing, buddy? Kaitor, Steve, good to see you. XB Nuts, Brian. A 13-inch one of these that doesn't power up for $300. Oh, that sounds a bit dodgy to me for a price. Doesn't power up? No, it's not worth that. I mean, this one, you know, this one works fine. So there she is. And I've got just a little bit of information here for you. I have the capacitor kit. Good day, console crafters. Oh, excuse me. That's the jazz playlist. Let's get that out of here. There we go. I have a deflection and power capacitor kit all right here. 36 pieces to it. I have created this document myself, and I have got that kit put together right here. And I'm not going to tell you what brands to buy because... man, I don't want to hold your hand for everything. I'm just kidding. Really, get the best ones you can get, you know, do some research on what are good for what you need to use the purpose for. There's no specific brands that make capacitors designed specifically for CRT use anymore. Anyway. Got the capacitor kit here. If you want to try this kit, restoration yourself, you should be able to order these parts from your best supplier for capacitors. And we will have a second here where I'm going to tear this Sony down. It's been running for about an hour as I've been setting things up here. And... if you want a lot of information, I just recently made a video about this TV and this entire line kind of TVs. This BA6 chassis, the FS100 specifically, is in that video, as well as the FS120 and the FV300. This capacitor kit is, you know, it will vary a little bit. If you try to use it between models, but it should be pretty close to the same. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over here to the Sony that you see. I'm going to start taking it apart. We'll see if it discharges or anything. And I think that's everything. So let's see how far we can make it today. Let's see how far... I've got, let's see, I've got this view set up with everything, every picture frame in it. This is my workstation right in front of you in the big screen. But when we get to work on the actual circuit boards, and then the capacitor kit down there in the middle. Me up top, and the other Sony screen over there. So let's just go back, pop over to the Sony. I'm going to... move my microphone around a little bit, and I might turn up the background music just a little bit because I don't want it to be total silence as I take this thing apart. But I am with you. Chronos trigger's been running. Looks pretty good. This set does actually have a modification available, but I don't have the parts on hand, so we won't be able to do that. But in the future, maybe that's something we can take a look at. And let's go ahead, unplug everything. All right. Now, thankfully, I went ahead and took some of the screws out and everything, so it should be able to just pop right off. See if I can get out of the way. Yeah. Good stuff. Look at that. Ready to go for everybody. So, I'm going to take some photographs. And I would recommend, if you're working on one of these, you do the same. And that way, if you ever run into trouble, you'll know what to refer to for plugging stuff back in. Maybe you want to know how the wiring was originally routed. Always a great idea to take a lot of pictures. Okay, so that should be enough for now. There we go. We got that out of the way. Now, there's some funny stuff here. I'll show you. This looks a little bit different than like the later models. One thing specifically, it's like the velocity modulation that's on the CRT, which is actually interesting. This looks different than the other later models of this same TV, which would have been like, this one was one of the first. So this was 4,400. Wait. No. I think this was one of the first 50,000 of these made. Not... So it came from 2002. So it's one of the first 50,000 as opposed to like the later on. I know 50,000 sounds like a lot, but Sony would have made a ton of these. Anyway, I'm going to pop the neck or the CV board right here out first. Just wiggle, wiggle. There's no... Man, that's on there good. Ooh, that was on there really good. There's no liquid or anything, but you do have to wiggle it a good bit. The only thing I have to worry about disconnecting on here is my ground cable for sure. My little cable here for the velocity modulation right there. And then, like I said, the ground cable. And then everything else can stay because I'm pulling this board as one set out here. And let's see, you do have to disconnect the yoke. There's also the rotational that piece here, but I've disconnected that prior to this because that will interfere with your that actually produces a bunch of noise on the image. And I talked about that in the actual video for this, if you want to know more about it. There's a release tab over here on this side. Gotta push it. And you can slide the board out a little more. And then we'll go ahead and take a couple more pictures just to make sure I plug everything in the right spots. You don't want to plug something like the degausser into the ground socket. You want to know which way everything is oriented in case you have an issue. But not too much. That's our degausser. AC power. Audio. And I think that's it. Okay, yeah, that's all our board right there. Now you have seen I've not even discharged or nothing. I'm going to try to get this off without actually without discharging it first. Let me see if I can zoom in here for you. So I'm going to try to pop that off. It's on there good. Ah, see that? How cool is that? All right. So first off, let me take the board out of the way. And as you'll see, we're not going to do anything with that yet. All right. Here's the full board. Now this may have a little bit of energy stored in it, so I'm going to just tap it. But it doesn't. I just tapped it against the cart. Get it out of the way. And this is like the dirtiest part of all this. See, my hands just get dirty from touching that old stuff that collects a lot of dust. So, let's see if it zaps. It probably won't. I'm not sure how far we can get in there. That's pretty good. My discharge tool literally is nothing more than a Phillips head screwdriver, insulated, and an old piece of recycled extension cord, about 4 feet of it, not even. And I will connect this end to, I mean, it's fine anywhere. I'll connect it to the grounds right here that came off of that. But no, wait, there's a ground strap on the back of the tube. Let me show you that. So this line right here is like a grounding strap, and there's a spring down here. We'll just connect to that spring. I got an alligator clip here. Whoops, missed it. There we go. So we got a good point there. And now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to show you this discharger. Again, it's probably not going to zap at all. With this Sony, they tend to have resistors in them at this point. An earlier Sony that has like the black shell and it's from the 90s probably will zap. No, see nothing. At this point, they've pretty much added the resistor that automatically discharges it when you turn the TV off. So the back of this is fine. Let's see if we have anything to really worry about over here on the back. Sometimes things like the yoke will slip off here and these little tabs will come loose and fall off. Surprisingly, we have all 4 of our wedges still in place. So before what I'll do is I'll clean this area still before I finish this job. I'll clean everything out in here. And then I will put some RTV silicone up in this area to hold these wedges in so that they don't fall and that the yoke never shifts. Okay. So there's that. Let's get set back up. Over here, we'll look at this board. I'm gonna go get a let's see, brush. All right, I've got a little brush here. Let's go change over to our view of everything. Interesting, look at that. Here's our A board. See if we can get a little more light in here. There's some more light. Okay. All right, the first thing I want to do is clean it off a little bit so I don't have to get dirt and everything all over the place on myself. Let's see if I can shine a little more light in some of these areas. So we got, you know, this is the BA6 chassis. I'm about to remove my keyboard completely out of here. There we go. Don't need the remote for right now. So this is, let's go closer. The BA6 chassis. We're not recapping the whole thing, guys. We're going to do a spot cap kit that's going to cover the vast majority of the power capacitors and the deflection capacitors, which are actually over here up in this area. So, you know, just to make sure that I don't get like a lot of old dust in my face, I like to just dust things off a little bit. You're not going to hurt anything by doing this. There is a switch down here. There is a switch in the middle of, turn that music down just a touch. There's a switch down here in the middle of your board right here. So just take note of where this switch is oriented. Mine's straight up. It does go to side like that. And sometimes when you're working and cleaning, you can obviously push it. All that is a center setting for your horizontal deflection. It's like a main setting, so it's not going to hurt it. It's just going to shift the image hard left or hard right if you set it and don't remember to put it back to what it was. Let's see. I know that, look, I apologize if the screen quality isn't that great on this overhead camera. I'm trying a new one, and so just bear with me as we work through this. Gonna have to get figured out. I'm gonna have to get something better for kind of the overhead camera this year. The one I had at the old bunker did not make it. Finally broke and it was discontinued. All right. So I've got a blower here, blow some of this stuff. And then if we look, that's not the section really we're going to be concerned with. We're going to be concerned with the stuff over here. That's really all these capacitors right in here. Like everything. This is the deflection and the power filtration. And these are the ones that get the nastiest first, or, you know, wear out first. So let's see. We can do this a little better. Move that a little bit back for now. And let's look through our capacitor kit. So if we look through our kit over on These are the capacitors we're going to roll through, and it's not in numerical order, obviously. It's more of in an order that you're going to look at the board and see the capacitors in. So we're going to start over in, let's see, 634. So it starts like with this one, this one, this one, this one, and then goes over into these and all this stuff. So it's, the cap kit's meant to start you from here. These are two large filtration capacitors that, man, they very rarely have, I've never seen them go bad. And they tend to last longer than these other capacitors. So if you even changed them now, they'd still probably like outlast the changed ones. So what I mean is you'll be lucky if you don't have to change these other capacitors we're going to work on. You would be lucky not to have to change these twice before you have to change these once. And that's the way it goes with a lot of these capacitors that are not getting a lot of usage, or that are way high performance and over designed. So if we look under, there's some tricky ones to get to in this kit. You've got this heat sink right here, and so you end up with some that are under there that you do need to access and get rid of. See those? That cable's in the way. Let me see if I can angle that in a new way. See these down here? All these, we have to get these out. And what I like to do to make this a little easier is I'll go in and try to reflow the solder on a lot of this stuff prior to pulling it out, because that's just going to make the other tools work better if you add fresh solder to it. So that's what we'll start with, is adding a lot of fresh solder to points. There's also some points on these boards that we'll want to go ahead and really completely reflow the solder on anyway. Things like this flyback down here is something we'll be wanting to put fresh solder on too. Now I have a big window by my head. I'm not going to turn on my exhaust fan because I don't want, you know, you guys to have to listen to me using it. Some other areas, excuse me, some other areas that you'll want to touch up solder on will be like this stuff. And let's see, our capacitor kit actually starts it's pretty much from like this white line down. You can pretty much go through and do almost all of them. .634 right there. So what I'll do is I'll just put some fresh solder on each point. See if I can add some more light, because I'm going to need it just to see. So I know I at least just got 3 capacitors right there reflowed. There's 642, 647, 634. There's one more. Got it. You got to be careful over here because there's a bunch of small surface mount capacitors and resistors and things that you don't want to actually knock off or bridge. Let's make sure we got all of them. See, we got 34, 35, 42, and 47. Cool. So we got 4, the first 4 reflowed. And then we're just going to keep reflowing for a minute. So after that, it's 600, 638. Like, anyway, here's what we're gonna do. Whoa! As you can tell, sometimes you should go. Did you just see that spark? So what I did was I had a diode that's on the ground, or not on the ground, short out to the ground right there. So you'll have that if you don't actually go through and like discharge everything on the board. And it's obviously a lot of stuff. And yeah, you could zap yourself, but I've never really zapped myself. I've only zapped the edge of something like what you just saw right there. That was fun. It's the beauty of live TV. Not even TV. Live YT. That was cool. We'll do this one right here. Oh, and 609 right above it. Well, that zap was fun. Makes up for there being no zap on the tube. Let's see. 501, 651, 520. 651's right here. Yeah, that was fun. You never really can set up and plan for those because that generally happens maybe once every other restoration. You'll get a zapper like that on a capacitor, and a lot of times it's actually not the capacitor down here on the board. It's the capacitors. It's the capacitors that are like the chiclet capacitors, film, whatever capacitors. So what we're going to do now is I've got my FR310 right here. It's heating up. I'm just going to like work to remove these capacitors. I don't think you'll hear the FR310, but it's kind of the reason you do this is you don't want to damage a trace trying to get that old solder to release your capacitor. So just like that, it comes out super clean. And then what I like to do, if we go back over here, I like to go over to my capacitor kit list, and what I tend to do, and you should print a copy of this if you want to, but I'll like highlight it. Make your own copy, I don't know. Just don't try to sell the stuff, okay? Alright, so I highlighted that. That's one I've removed. I've looked at it. Yes, it is the value it says. It's pointing the direction it's supposed to be. All that good stuff. I've got a nice little cup right here. And I'm going to put these in that cup. This lovely Garfield cup. We'll put that there. And we'll fill it with the capacitors as I remove them. Also to note, I do have this on the lowest possible setting. Like the wheel is pointed as low as possible. Because this board, you'll have, even if you take all the precautions, you may still have a trace that just decides to go and disappear on you. Evaporate in a pile of smoke. Okay. Number 2. Boom, 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 boom. 635. 54.7. Correct. Now, if you're not smart enough to double check, you can go look at the manual, but you'll notice some of the manual isn't going to match kind of what's on your board a lot of times. I'm just trying to make sure that like there's nothing happening to these traces as I'm doing this. I'm really trying not even to touch the traces. I'm trying to touch the solder bulbs that are on, or beads of solder that are on the legs of each part. So sometimes you don't get it all off, and you have to do it maybe twice. That one's good. This one's still got... I'm not sure if I can get it hot enough. There we go. This is 642. $50 220, and the one of these capacitors I'm pulling off this are nice. I mean, they're Rubicons, but they are also 25 years old. When they were put in these boards was 25 years ago. But it's funny how it gives you like a cloudy view and stuff. It's not really wanting to do any kind of focus on that camera. All right, well, we'll push on through. Let's see. We've got one more down here, 647. Actually, I needed two. That was a 5220. I need to put that on the list. One more down here. Six, 4, 7. $25.47. 25 volt, 47 UF. Ooh. Yeah, man. Gamers by Manoa. Says my CRT has started making a buzzing, crackling sound for about every 4 hours. Sometimes the picture shifts upward and then returns to normal. Do you think this is serious? I mean, it sounds like, that sounds kind of like possibly the flyback transformer failing, or your vertical, maybe your vertical circuit's failing, but yeah, that doesn't sound very good. The flyback's failing, good luck. There's not really a lot to do with that. You'll have to try to find a replacement, which those are very hard to even really find. C600, where are we going to now? So we've taken 4 out. I think I'm just going to start pulling these other ones, and then we'll just see when, put them off the list, and we'll get to where we are that way. I'm going to take some of these that I did not reflow, but you'll notice they're kind of isolated. They're on bigger traces. And I'm not, again, touching the traces. I'm touching the solder or the legs of the capacitor. So right there we remove 616. And that's way down the list. 25, 2200. But yep, that's the correct capacitor. So we'll just go ahead and highlight that one. There's no rules. You don't have to go in the exact order. Just go whatever feels comfortable. Sometimes you have to take out these, get your confidence up. I don't know how you say it. These have been reflowed. Anybody else working on any CRTs? I actually did get quite a few people reach out to me, say they were working working on like this CRT in particular, or these families of CRTs, which I find interesting. that I think this is a decent one. Like if you're ready to really up your game and recap a set, this is kind of one of those that you can start with, get some good experience, I feel like. Okay, I just removed C625, and let's make sure we put this on the list. It's over here. This is a 50 volt 10, which is correct, but what it is it's not actually any major brand. It's a Jamicon, Jamaican Jamicon. I'm not sure. I don't think they make Jamicons anymore, but you'll notice that Sony had Jamicons in here, which is Jamicon, in the less like lower end, more common available capacitors. So when people ask me like what brand is best to use, I'm saying you're replacing Jamicons, right? So it can't be like that. Any capacitor you could find that's like legally good, at least in like the United States, is going to be acceptable for some of these spots. But I personally, my favorite is Rubicon, but I can't always use Rubicon. I've gone and used plenty of things like Kemet, Panasonic, Nishikon, of course. But you can't always find exactly what you need in those spots, or it's too expensive. Let's see, where are we? We need this one up here. I don't know. I don't know. There's one under this, which is nasty. Those are going to be nasty to get to. Okay. Let's just keep going on this path. I think I was grabbing the right one. No. Okay, that one's loose and out. 632. So we're going backwards now. We're going down to up. This should be a 5047. It is a 50 volt 47. It's 85 degrees. And see, it is a Nishikon. So Sony themselves was using mixtures of brands, mixtures of durability. That's all 100% true. Let's get this one down here. It's 650. Don't need to reflow the solder there. We shouldn't, at least. It's a bit trickier when you don't reflow that solder. Here we go. 25 1000 Rubicon C650. And then Garfield's starting to get full down here. Look at him. We're going to move up 611 right here. Just would say, though, I would not recommend doing this kind of job with something like solder wick, relying on that. Also, you can tell what I'm doing right now probably would zap me if these were still holding a charge. 470. 50 volt 470 for C611. right here in the middle of our list. Check it twice, like good old Saint Nick. And let's go above that. That's getting into the can't reach it zone. Get rid of this one right here. Next to all those, it's 451. There we go. The 451 should be 50.47. Correct. 0.47. This one is a Nishikon. Okay. Chugging along. So, two up here, 612 and 609, those are actually under here, under this. Very difficult to get to. Let's see if we can, I mean, if I'm lucky, I'll be able to just desolder them and they'll just fall kind of out. It's going to be our first attempt to get them out. Now, if they get loose, I can probably flip this over. Let's try that. Talking about the tools. Let's see if we can get it out with this. If it's, well, there we go. Popped out. Well, a little bit. The other one will be a little bit more tricky. This is a 50 volt, 2.2. Rubicon C612. Right? C612, is that right? Yes, C612. Now it gets kind of tricky when we want to replace that. You have to get it to weasel down in there. Forgot my conundrums are really going to be on this 609. Okay, we'll figure it out. Whoa. Well, thankfully, that was just the edge of that capacitor leg that slipped and didn't touch even the board. Gotta be careful. That's the kind of maneuver that, whoa, fell out. It'll make you lose a surface mount component. Oh, right there, baby. She fell right out. Didn't even have to do anything tricky. 25 volt 1000 C609. Perfect. Keep going. Solder wick's just going to be way too difficult to work with on this board. You'll be way, I mean, look at the, look at these boards right up in this area like that we're working on. I mean, there are so many little components, the solder wick will easily stick to that, rip that component off. I mean, I wouldn't dare do it personally because maybe like one, what's this one? This one fell out too. Oh, that's the 50 volt 2.2. I didn't put that back in there. This is just like the kind of job that you'll want to use. I mean, it's too much, I think. Unless you're like amazing with solder wick and you don't think you'll bridge anything. Let's keep going. Is 658 on the list? Are either of these two on the list? I don't think they are. That's 638's on the list. I know these down here. 651 is right up here. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. That's one I've already reflowed. This is one I would normally not reflow, so. Yeah, so the interesting thing is there is a S-Video mod for this. There is not an RGB mod. But that's one thing I missed on my last video about this was the S-Video mod. And apparently you have to just repopulate the board with S-Video parts. 25 volt 1000. I've almost caught up with everything. We're 521. Don't know. Let's just go down here. We're going to start taking out some of these down here. These are the bigger ones. Just get them out of the way. Come back to these. These are the bigger power filtration capacitors that we will be changing. That's C617. This should be 100 volt 220. And these are Rubicon 100 volt 220s right here. This power filtration capacitor, only 85 degree rated still. And just to give you an idea, I actually increased a little bit on the replacement for this. I mean, it's pretty big, a lot bigger than the other one, and it's a little bit more difficult to usually fit these in the slots. This is Panasonic 105 degree, and we're up in the voltage to 160 volts 220, but you can tell, I mean, it's big, and we need to fit 2 of these in this slot. So hopefully we don't have trouble with that, but we can make it work. It's generally not too big of an issue. But the hope there is just to give us a little bit, not like boosted performance. The capacitors will have a boosted performance of that life. An extra durability, but it's not as if they are going to be a miracle worker and like give it better performance on the TV. So this is a 50 volt Nishikon, or 160 volt 33 microfarad. Let me show you the placement for this one. Yeah. So here in this one, check, this is like the opposite situation. So I've got a Rubicon 250 volts. So again, we're increasing the voltage, and it's 105 degrees. And like, look at the diameter difference on this one. Big time. There's a little bit of a technology bump for you. Yeah, there's a lot of automotive Kaitor in there. Like a lot of automotive electronics replacement capacitors. At least that's what they're listed as specific for. All right, we got it. 696. Or what was that? The 33. 594? Is that right? Yeah, I can't see anymore. Can't read anymore. That's sad. 45-year-old eyes trying to look at this. All right. This is another 100 volt 220. Like I said, there's 2 of those right next to each other. C618. Then we've got C624. It's this one, 590. Okay, those are the other two we need to get out. This one and this one. And then we'll be done with 17 and 18. Let's see. I may be able to get these out without having to reflow anything. I'm going to take advantage of that big solder blob right there. We'll go over here. That one's not looking too good. That one's looking crusty. So that's a problem with that old solder. Look how crusty that was. It just like just crusted apart. It didn't even like liquefy. It just turned to crust. Ugh. Yeah. Okay. That is 590. Should be a 50 volt 10. JammyCon. Back to the jammies. You know, one brand that I was not too sure on and then started using again has been like Kemet and Panasonic, and I've never had, you know, I haven't had any troubles with them. I'm not saying that, again, nothing's built for the CRTs, but the other stuff's built for automotive mostly. And electronics, more modern electronic stuff. All right, baby, don't get too crusty now. Let's just go straight. Get out of here. Get out of here without having to make me re-solder this. All right, this is C624, should be a 160 volt 10 UF. This is going to be something like a Nishikon, if I had to guess, or a Rubicon. 85 degrees, 160 volt 10 Nishikon. First guess would have been Nishikon, and I was right. So, what leaves us? 520, 600, 638. Where are those three? Before I get too far up my chassis here. Don't really see them. Here's 520. There's 520. All right. All the way up here in the middle of this board. Of course, the Kemet stuff is like replacing JammyCon. If I want to be more specific, like which ones? Most of the time when it comes to the larger capacitance, like on these capacitors that we're removing, we'll be replacing with Rubicon or Nishikon or Panasonic. Like that's it, because they're the ones who make them. This is a JammyCon, 50 volt 22, 520, perfect. Whoops. Well, I think I missed the cup. I missed Garfield. All right, we have 450. Is that on the list? I don't think so. Maybe? No, that's way up here. We need 600 and 638. Huh. 521. Well, okay, I'm not seeing it right now. So we'll come back to him. Hopefully we'll just like run into him as we're working on the others. 521, is that on the list? It's gotta be, right? 521 is on the list. Let's just go ahead and remove it since we're up here. Five, two, one. $50 100. Perfect. Yeah, so guys, like if you find yourself owning a TV that can be RGB modded, you've really like hit the jackpot if there's one with a guide on it. Okay. I don't know why I'm randomly throwing that in there. Some people are talking about one day doing that. Even if it's something you can't do today, that's okay. Like, just remember that's highly desirable. There's a lot of TVs that you can't do that with. 589's down here. Let's see. $100 22, 85 degrees. I don't see the brand here. I know you can look at the top and like it'll tell you the branding depending on the whichever way the imprint is on the top is a way to find what brand you're dealing with. Anyway, not really that important. The important thing is that it matches the kit. Even though you have a kit, you should always do what I'm doing. Refer to the kit in the list. Make sure that it matches. We're jumping around all over the place here, but there's no rules when it comes to replacing capacitors. Doesn't have to be done in any specific order. C515 254.7 515. Perfect. Let's see, where's the next one? 527's right above it. The good thing about these capacitors we're working on over here is they're all nice and spread out, so there's not as much need to reflow the solder again on them. Just gotta watch your temperature and everything like that. 527, 160 volt 22, perfectly that. Okay, going 595. So this board I mean, honestly, it's really a nice shape. So this is mostly preventative maintenance. You could probably use this set for a couple years without doing what I'm doing and have no issues. But eventually you will. But I'm just saying that in the condition that it was from when we were running it, and then looking at the parts now after running it for a long time, it was in good shape. I don't think it was used a ton. Let's see, 25-220. What was this one? $595. All right, so we've done that. Let's go. Old crusties. Let's see. I've got a few more to get out of here. Just getting harder to find. Now we've got all those under this. We've got these two. Let's get rid of these two right here. Next to this IC. That's right. 545. Yeah, that's right there. It's on the list. Oh, this one's... Okay, I thought it was going to be a little crusty. Still a little life in that solder. Okay, good. $50-volt 220. 545, perfect. Take it off the list. Let's go to the other side. C597, 220. $25-220. 597. Whoa! Caught it. I caught it. $25-220. We've replaced 30 minus 4. We're down to 26 capacitors full. Okay, let's see. Here's another one. This one's got to go back here, I think. Just trying to get the low-hanging fruit out of the way. 663. Yeah, right here. $663 should be 5047, 4.7. Sorry, not 5047. Rubicon 54.7. Cool. And not a whole lot more to do here. 571 is up here again on the outside, so I'm going to do it, and then before we get into those in the tough zone, I'm actually going to reflow solder on them. $571. Good morning, Brent. Welcome in. Good morning, Ghost. Thank you all for showing today. Thank you, Jim. Plata. I appreciate it. 25 volt 100. That's perfect. Okay. 571 is extracted. Just have the two random ones up top. I'm not sure what I'm missing there. So the other, there's a bunch in this area. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 over here. Yep, 4 right in there that we're going to remove. And then that's all in this area. That's under there. What's this one? 638. Is that on the list? Is that one of the ones up top? Yes. Okay. Okay, these two need to go. Those are the two up here. Let's get these out real quick, and then we'll. So this way, if you ever come and try to do this kit yourself, you'll see what I'm aiming for. Great. 600. 50 volt 10. Yes. Jamicon. Jamaican. Jamon. Ja. Well, whatever. $638 is the next one. 638 right here. There it is. I'm like, where are you, 638? I think this is you. This is you. Remember, don't touch the trace. Just touch the lead. And first touch the solder blob. When it gets liquid, land on the lead. Ugh. Sometimes you'll slip, though. There we go. Okay. 638. 25 volt 100. Perfect. Now we have... We have removed 30, and we have 6 remaining. We know where 4 are. Where's 551 and 552? The 4 are in there. 450. So 552's okay. So these are 2 random. I knew it was going to be 2 randoms. 2 randoms up here next to the video IC, kind of. 552 is right next to the video IC, actually. Get rid of those first, and then we'll come back and deal with the 4 under that. Heat sink. Alright, 552, the very last one on the list. Jamicon means it's a 50 volt 10, yes. Alright, and then we will... 551 is going to be right over next to that. Actually, closer to this other tiny chip up here. Now, if you notice, dead or bad capacitors as you're pulling them, you may want to consider recapping additional capacitors on here, or at least always checking the integrity of them just to make sure that none of the others, I mean, it could be doing a different function. These sometimes, you know, a capacitor just goes bad, and so when you have it open, it's a great time to like look at the other stuff too. The final four are going to be over here. And actually, I may be able to get rid of these without filling the solder on there if I'm good and slippery. Oh, this is so wrong. I probably shouldn't. I should just try to reflow it, not risk it. Okay. I'm gonna touch them up first just to be cautious. One, two, three. The final one is over here. This one's really surrounded by parts. Oof. Okay. Oh, I'm getting nervous. My hand's shaking. Come on, baby, get loose. There you go. There we go. No harm there. Whew. That one's the 561 54.7. Yes, that's right. So we'll come back and we're just going to go through these and then I'll move them off the list when I'm completely done. 566, 160 volts, 4.7. Let's drop it. Hang on. Ooh, don't slip. Okay. 160 volts, are you? Yes. 4.7, yes. Okay. Those two are good. Yes, this is 562. $25 to $20, 562, yes. And our final capacitor on this board, C544 5047. 5047. Okay, cool. So all 4 of these are good. Now, one thing that's not on this list is the actual cap kit for the other board. I forgot to put that on the list. But that's it. That's the capacitor kit for the A board. And while we have this all out here, we're going to go ahead and check out this CV board too. Which is where the CRT goes into. And the reason, well, I mean, technically we could pop this plastic piece off right here and try to, like, work on it that way by itself, but that's a little bit tricky. So there you go. It took a little over an hour to remove all those capacitors. And let's go ahead. Well, I don't actually have my keyboard handy because it's kind of not readily available. So let's go drive. We'll go maybe this one will have it. No, I do not have the CV board listed on either one of these. Well, I don't have it listed on here for some reason. So we will just add it later. Or now. Maybe we can add it now. I just got to get this keyboard a little bit closer to me. And then we'll just do it like this. We'll just do it from scratch. We'll just go through here and start it like that. There are 2, 4, 6, 8. There are 10 capacitors on this board for the BA6 chassis. And we're just going to start over here. I know I have this written somewhere, but we'll add it to this one because if anybody wants to come in here and actually do this themselves, they'll need it. Shouldn't have much trouble on this board. It's pretty 1753, 51 is what we're starting with. Most of the capacitors are nice and spread out. It could turn the heat up on this, but when you do that, it's really going to put pressure on a trace that's, you know, eventually you'll hit one that's that'll just evaporate and the trace will go if it's too hot. 250 volt 10 UF. $17.55. I was working on a Samsung TV Friday. And it's a high definition set, an HD set. and it has a special board in it, so it can do 240p, 480i, 480p, and 1080i. And it's a CRT, flat screen, 27-inch Samsung. Anyway, there started to be some flashing on just anything that was digital video. 250, 2.2. So the digital video, if you put up a white screen, it would flash. The image would flash. And I looked over the board, and it had all kinds of surface mount capacitors on it, so it was going to be those were failed and needed rebuilding. But the crazy thing was the card was soldered into the board, so there was like, it didn't have like a quick disconnect or anything. It was soldered in the board about, I want to say like 48 point solder for this board. And I had the FR301 desoldering tool. I had it set to the lowest setting, and I went and I hit a spot, and it just evaporated the trace. And I was like, well, that trace doesn't look to go anywhere. And I had to look through. And what happened was it was just a trace to nothing. So there was no connection on that particular point. And because of that, the trace was very fragile. Because there technically was no trace. It was literally just a solder point. And in that case, when you have bad solder on a solder point like that, on a cheaply made or, you know, budget design board, it's not uncommon to have that. But don't freak out if it happens and it's no connection, because it doesn't hurt the TV or anything. And that does happen. Meaning that you'll run into those no connection points. And you'll also have traces and solder points that just decide to go up in smoke. 1775, 16470, all that's correct. This is good practice too. If you want to know how these cap kits are actually made, this is how I make them. I'll still refer beforehand to the service manual, but a lot of times you don't have a service manual, or there's changes on the board from what's actually on the service manual. You want to go with, generally speaking, what's on the board, unless there's some specific problem and like a mod to the TV or an upgrade that is supposed to prevent that problem. 1774, not 44. We have a Jamicon 50 volt 10, 2547, 25 volt 47 microfarad. Oops, forgot to do that. All right. Gonna move over here now to 1777. Now this is much more fragile trace. But we did it, no problem. 1777. $50 volt 4.7. Goodness. Okay. C912. Ooh, I almost pulled the wrong thing. My finger slipped on that C914, which is not the right capacitor. 912. Jamicon. This is the biggest Jamicon. 16 volt 470. C911. All right, 25 volt 100, C911. Four more. 907. Seven is 160-33, 160 volt, 33 UF. $908. Whoops. We only have like three more. Three more. Come on. We're almost done with all these. $908, 16 470, 16 volt, 470 microfarad. Jamicon C908. And we have C901 and 903 left. You see how these end up being out of order numerically as I make the capacitor kit. You can tell how that happens. This is a fragile trace here. We want to be careful. Okay, 901. Rubicon 160 volts, 2.2 microfarads. And then C903. That is 16 volt 470. $16 volts, 37 microfarads. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's actually 11 capacitors on there. I thought there was just 10 or maybe 12. Okay, there you go. 11 plus 36. So if you want, you can click the link and it will be updated with the capacitor. I mean, if you click, you could click it in real time and it'll look like this as I'm working on it. What I'm going to do is, as I replace each one of these capacitors on the board with the new cap, I will replace the color highlighted with green. Oh, goodness. Well, that's everything on that. Let's see all those capacitors down there. I'm going to take some quick pictures. And document this experience. All right, now I need to get some water. Everybody still here? Anybody still with me today? That's a good hour and 15 minutes, basically. Recapping that. What's up? Oh, what's up, Sam? So that's like the first step. Clean. Then you could put together your capacitor kit, which I've got mine put together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this thing up a little. Use one of these. Just trying to suck all the old solder back into the chamber here. It comes with a tool, but I just use these capacitors. It's just fine. I'm just going to check it and see. Yeah. All the solder is getting sucked back into that. Let me turn that off, let that cool down. I'm probably going to move it out of my workstation just to give myself a little bit more space. Hey, Kels. How's it going? We got just about... things just about ready here. Okie dokie. To unplug the soldering tool, and I'm going to move it out of the way for a second. The old capacitors here. We do need some new tools. We got some flush cutters. Probably will need some ESD tweezers to help us install the capacitors. Since the capacitor kit for the CV kit is not, or the CV board is going to be different, and it's not actually, I did not take it and make it yet. We're going to start probably with that one. we're going to start rebuilding this CV board in reverse order. So we'll go down here. We need a 25010. Should be one of these right here. 25010. We need some 1, 2, 3. We need 4 16-volt 470s. I don't actually keep those in stock. I keep 35-volt 470s, so we're going to upgrade that part. And what else have we got? We've got a 2.2. Not sure what I have available for that. We have a 160-33, so we're going to go 250-33. So that's half our kit. We need a 2.2. Let's fix that. Need some smaller capacitors. Yeah, we need 250 2.2s. 250 2.2. Where do we keep those? 10s. Let's see. I have them here. Two of those. Now 2547. Here's one of those. We need 54.7. Here's one of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're missing one. 25-volt 100. Here is that. There it is, the cat kit. Okay, that's our kit. That's our kit for this board, all 11. You can do this a couple ways. It's your choice. To make it easy, maybe we'll just go ahead and stick all 11 in and install them all at once. So 1751 up here. 25010, bend those legs over. We've got 55, which is the 2.2. We've got 470 coming up. It can be this one. $17.75, right? All right, something's not right here. That's not populated. 74 is up here at top. That's the 2547. This is a 54.7, which is 1777 is a 50 volt 4.7. 2547 is the 1774 up top. You could go in here and install these one at a time if you really wanted to. No rules again. It's 912. It's another 470. There we go. 911 up here up top. Is that what that is? 911. $25 volt 100. That's not the right one. $907. 250-33. $908. Once 470. $901. 2.2. And $903. 470. Okay. So that's a good way to tell us that we've done our cap kit right, because we checked our cap kit, everything's good. So now what I'm going to do is just verify by looking at them that I've stuck them all in the right direction, which I have. So now we can solder them all in. And over here on my list, since I'm doing that, I'm going to select them all. And for now, I'll highlight it green. Actually, I won't need... Get rid of this guy. So I will now just solder these in. I don't know, I like to do it. I like to straighten legs. Just like that. Okay. Two, 4, 6. Go up here now. Man, this solder's so good. Like, can't remember when I switched over to this solder. It's been, I don't know, 6 years ago, longer. It is so wonderful. It's like turns your soldering iron into a butter knife, and the solder is the butter. Nice warm butter on some bread. And baby, it's loaded with 38% lead. Maybe more, I don't know. I'll show it to you in a second. It's expensive. It's like $75 a reel or something. Maybe less, maybe 60. Not sure right now. It's rosin core. So you don't have to worry about flux. It's already built into it. At least for when you're replacing these kinds of parts. All right. This is generally not the way I do it, but we're just doing it for fun right now. I generally don't do it all like this. I won't do the next board like this. All right, one more. So feels like something I can stick my eye with. All these soldering leads. So believe it or not, I have seen multiple times. I'm not sure what people are doing. They forget what they're doing and get halfway done with a project and think it's okay. I've literally seen people leave all these little legs like this on a board and just go test it. Don't do that. You're going to short something doing that. That was a good throw. That's not the only thing I'm going to do to this CV board. Show you a couple spots on here. We're going to reflow again with fresh solder just to make sure. Just to make sure we don't have any trouble down the road. Well, I guess it doesn't guarantee that. We're going to do the best we can to make sure this thing... what's up? What's up, my friend? How you doing? How you doing, John? Don't normally broadcast Sunday mornings, but the family's out of town this morning. So I'm going to go back and just touch up the solder on each one of these points. Just remember, don't do the same 2 points right at the same time, because then your capacitor will just fall out. So you kind of have to do swap like that. And if you do it like that, you'll never have one fall through. Almost done. Just like that. See how I did that? That's asking for trouble. If you have to do them, give it a second, let it cool. If you have to do them at the same time. It looks like everything there. I need to reflow solder on this point, which is the CRT socket. That point, this point over here. And I'll also probably do this connection point right here where the cable comes in and connects on each one of those. Now some boards may need to reflow the solder entirely on everything. This one doesn't look that way though. But these points will get extremely hot on this CV board. And then when you turn the CRT off, you know, it's going to be rapidly cooling down depending on your ambient temperature. So you can get cold solder joints to form like that. And that's that thing. Let's go up here. Let's touch up this. All right. What's the other connection? I know we got another one here. So we got this connection, we got this connection. We're going to reflow solder on both of those. And then some other points here too. Just watch, don't bridge it. If you do, don't worry. Just reflow it and don't bridge it, you know. Get rid of the bridge. There's that. This is a spark gap ground cable. Blah. Okay. Beautiful. And then finally, we have this point right here, which I can't even remember. One of these we're not even connecting back to the monitor or to the hardware because it's a rotational. It's that rotational connection, which we don't want to use. There we go. So normally I would clean this heavily with, and I will still clean it eventually, but with isopropyl alcohol. But if I do that, then I'm going to need to let it dry. So instead, we're just going to kind of leave it fluxy, I guess you could call it, for now. because the flux won't hurt it. It just isn't super clean. Let's double check now this. What I like to do now is get a marker. Hang on. Get a marker here. Double check everything. $17.55. And as I do that, here's what I'll do. You'd go full circle on this list. And after I check it, know it's good, I remove all highlight from it. 1775. Yep. It's good. 74. And hey, don't take things for granted. This could happen today. I can't tell you how many times I look and I've put the wrong capacitor in a spot. It's either pointing the wrong direction or it's the wrong value and I've, swapped it up accidentally. That's what we're doing. We're preventing that from happening, or we're preventing damage to the CRT because we're going to check all our work here and make sure that we haven't made that mistake, because starting it and powering it on with the wrong capacitor inside or the wrong direction could short something and cause really a lot of issues. Could blow a resistor, could blow an IC, could blow the tube. Somebody go 911. All right, we're up to 250.33, C907. There we go. 908, yes, 470. 903, 470, yes. Yep. Okay. And look, you can triple check this if you want. Come back and check it again. I always recommend checking, though, before you move on. All right. So that's a completed board. Now, at this point, like I say, normally what I do is I'll do this kind of a job. Like what we've just done. But I'll do it to both boards, which we're going to continue to do. And then I would clean it with, just dousing the board with rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, and then using an old toothbrush to scrub it. And then I'd go back and check out all the welds or solder points that we've done, just to make sure that nothing's messed up. But if you do that, then I tend to you need to let the boards dry out. Even though it's like not conductive, you will have performance issues due to that alcohol. It'll prevent things from properly firing off, and it may not damage, but there's still like a 1% chance of it, having non-alcohol in it. And I'll be honest with you, I have shorted a transformer by trying to clean it and then immediately go and just turn it on without letting it completely dry. So the way to prevent that is to just not clean it thoroughly today. So that's going to be our idea, is to just skip that cleaning process. So we've completed the CV board, and now we'll go back up here and we'll start installing our cap kit. Now this I've gone ahead and pre-made to try to help us speed this up a little bit. So that's if you've ever gone fishing and you want another tip, get you one of these little fishing boxes. It's got dividers in it, it seals closed, and then you can make yourself capacitor kit nicely separated right here for this kind of a job if you want to do it like that. Gonna take a second. I'm waiting for one of my kids to call. I mean, I'm not waiting, like expecting it, but I'm imagining it will happen here soon. But they also could just be asleep the whole time and sleep through this lovely morning stream. So how's everybody doing out there? We still following along nicely? It's making sense so far? Is there anything so far that is unclear that maybe you want me to go into a little bit more? My retirement dream is to have the knowledge to fix, repair, and mod CRTs all day long in a little electronic home workshop. Well, Baba, thanks, man. That's exactly what I do. So it can be done. But it is not. I mean, there are some days, guys, where this stuff is frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. Weird things happen with CRTs, and it could be something that you just miss a step. But at the same time, it's extremely rewarding to be able to work on stuff. And it doesn't have to be CRTs. You got to find, too. I mean, you can make... You don't realize how many things I've taken this knowledge and have been able to fix. My washing machine, my dryer. That these tools will help. I think anybody can learn to solder if you have some, if you have your motor skills still. I mean, there's some people that don't, and that's unfortunate, but they won't be able to solder. But if you do have some motor skills, you should be able to learn to solder, and learning to solder is one of the greatest skills I've ever learned that I was not taught, that I was self-taught from watching YouTube and practice. So my goal, too, is to try to introduce people not just to working on CRTs, but the idea of soldering. Because there's so many things that can be fixed with just a little bit of soldering knowledge and technique and practice. So it's a great skill. It's like welding, except you don't have to have all this welding equipment, and welding can be quite dangerous. So can CRTs, or so can soldering, but it's like mini. It's like a miniature version of it. All right, let's get started on our capacitor kit here. I'm not sure which way I want to start, whether I want to start from the bottom and work my way up, or which I probably will, at least for the first two, because our first two are way over here. So I'd like to go ahead and get those done and just out of the way. First two are up here, and then we have another couple like over in this area. We'll probably just go ahead and get those out of the way. It's a 50 volt one and a 50 volt 10. So here's a 50 volt 1 in the 50 volt 1 slot. Yes. That is 550 wood. And these, I will do these differently. Or, I mean, a couple of them at a time. I won't just go do a one at a time, but I will do a couple at a time. There's those two. I can come over here and hit them with the green. Let's get another one in here. How about these two over in this area? 600, 638. Those are like two at the top we were looking for. Go ahead with these two. A 50 volt 10 again. $25 volt 100. Okay. Excellent. Okay, let's go ahead now. I'm gonna go ahead and solder in these four, just because. Just because it's probably a good idea to not try to do 10 at a time. Oh, what's going on here? Uh-oh. Alright. Sorry, my key came flying out of my soldering iron. It has like a safety key on it, so let's... Alright. Come on, Vivitar. I'm just dealing with the awkward nature of a lot of these parts also, because if the board was perfect to service, you wouldn't have to move things around so much, but you've got two boards attached, a bunch of cables, awkward things like a flyback transformer in the way. I'm going to do these a little different over here. I'm just going to get one leg on. Then I'm going to straighten the second one. It's the same thing down here. Okay. All right, now I'll go ahead. So this is the other way that you can do this, and maybe I can switch over to just the workshop camera for this, get a little bit of stuff out of the viewpoint. I know it's hard to see, but what I've done is I've done one leg and straightened it, and it's soldered into place, which is good. And then I've straightened the other leg of the capacitor, and I've not soldered it. So come in here and trim these all up. So now one leg is floating. So we'll come back in here. And there's those two. And we got to do 4. So this way's fine, but it's better to do it like this if you don't have a lot of space to stick your iron in. Four. But I will warn you, if you do it that way, sometimes, depending on how many capacitors you actually do, you can forget. You can forget to actually like go in and resolder these things, and you'll leave a trace open, circuit open, if you do it the way I just did it. So just remember, when you do it like that, you need to go and check all your work and make sure you've got solder on everything, didn't knock any parts off, nothing's bridged, and that's all good. So there's 4 capacitors. I will leave them green on my checklist still. As I said, I don't want to take all that off till after. I'll check it after we do the full work. Just come over here though and look at it real quickly. There's those 2 we just installed. Here's those other 2 back here we installed. Everything's looking nice and normal, professional. So we're going to continue on. Change the other 32. Where will we go? I kind of like to do maybe this half the board first up top, and then we can go down here and do the other spots after that. Let's see, what's the highest up here? 520 and 521. Both of those are on this list. I see 521 as being the 50 volt one. The whole thing is let's see, this should be the only other 50 volt one. Cool. That's the fun thing about making the cap kit ahead of time. I'm like, well, I've run out of 50 volt ones, so we're 1 capacitor down on the whole count. That slot's empty, so that means, oh yeah, I don't have to worry about mixing up this capacitor ever. 521. Just way back here. I don't really want to go too far in. I want to be, what I want to do is, when you get to stuff like this section, I'm going to want to do all these under this area, but before I do like the outer ones. 520 though is pretty much a loner up here. $50 volt 22. Is that the 5022? Oh, I dropped it. Uh-oh. It fell into my pair. Shoot. I don't know where to go. Alright, let's see. Yes, 5022 can go in 520. Okay. Let's change that green. 521 green. Okay, let's get these 2 done. What's under here? We'll get one of these. 544 is the furthest in. Which one's 544? That's 5047. Oops, forgot to bend you. 5047. Cool. 5047. Doggone fat fingers, get in there, man. I tell you what, every damn day these big fat sausage fingers get in my way when I try to stick capacitors down on the circuit board. I'm just kidding. That one's not even that bad. The real bad one is going to be, I went and I'll show you my cautionary tale of ordering the parts and what you get in the mail sometimes. Okay, let's do this 561 so we can do it in groups of 4s. It's a 54.7. Is this a 54.7? Yes. All right, that's 4 more. And this way, we will get done with this messy section up here first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Why do I call it the messy section? Well, I mean, like I said, there's a bunch of parts. Like I said, guys, if you wish, you just got to get, you don't have to start off with these tools that I have right here. You can start, I mean, I know that there's people who will start with even cheaper tools, but the Hakko still makes a great soldering iron that's like on a good professional starting level, and it's, I want to say it's still under $100. It's the one I have it as a backup here. It's not this induction heating one, and this one has wands. This one's been discontinued, funny enough. They replaced it with something else. Hakko did. Mine. But there's good irons that you can invest in for under $100, or ask for like for a gift for a birthday or something, and then slowly acquire some good tools, and that's how you get started. That's what I got started with. I used to use the old solder suckers that were, man, a couple different ones. I had a pump one that was like, that was just a weird heater with a little bulb, a little red ball on it that you just squeeze as you heat it up, and it would suck it in that ball. Those ones were a pain until I finally got the FR301. That's an awesome tool, but that one's going to set you back like $300 in the US. You can get them for a little less sometimes, but once you buy all the accessories you need, the 301, which is this desoldering tool, is the more expensive tool. But honestly, nothing really replaces it. The FR301. I have 2 of them. In case one breaks, I need another backup. Always using it. All right. Four. We have stuck with the 4 count, so we're going to need to remember that we need to always resolder or solder in 4 legs. One, 2. Go back and reflow. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Okay. I'm gonna let it sit for a minute. We'll do number 3's other spot. Number 4. All right, I know that, like, one, two, three, four. Okay. So let's look in here. I want to make sure that nothing moved. One, two. Oh, we did have movement on one of them. Ouch. Look at this guy move. So when that happens, I'll just move the back leg of 544. It's got to come out. There we go. And then I'll trim it. Now, if that happens and you have to trim this, just be careful because the flush cutter will send that thing flying towards you. You could get it stuck in your eyeball, and that's the last thing I'd want to have anything happen. Anybody get hurt by getting a piece of metal shot into their eyes. A fragment. Okay. That's looking good. We've got two more to install up here under this heatsink again, and then like that section will be done. The good thing that we really want to do is check our work under here as we go pretty thoroughly. I'm going to go ahead and mark. Where did my marker go? I'm going to go ahead and marker this since I won't be able to like get to it later. But C544 is a 5047, and I'm going to go ahead over here and change it to white. '61 and 21 are two others. We're going to go ahead and check them off the list for good. 1 and a 4.7. Perfect right there. .552 and 551. I'm not going to again do all this. 5010, right? 551. 552 is a 5010. That's right. 551 is a 51. Is that right? 551 is a 50 volt one. Can't see it. Yep, that's right. Okay. So even though I just installed that, I have to check. 520. Let's go ahead and just do all these. What's that one? 638. Yep, those are right. That's it, right? Okay. So like I said, normally I wouldn't do that. But since it's boarded out in sections, let's just make sure we don't lose track of things too far ahead of thing, you know. I don't want to be like hunting for these capacitors later on when I'm trying to do a quality control check again. 566. So we're going to install the other two under this heatsink, which is, what is it, 529 and 566? Or 566 and 560, no, 566 and 562. Right here, these two. 566 is going to be upgraded to 250 volts. 562 is right here, 25220. 562 is on the outside, 566 on the inside. Now my soldering iron is on 690 degrees. I didn't mention that. It's on 690 for the temperature setting. Fahrenheit. Celsius, that would be enough to melt the moon. Let's do the deed here. We're just going to do these two first, and then we'll move on. Make sure that none of these move too badly. I feel like this one moved a little bit. Okay, good. Same thing. When you get to a point where soldering becomes the easy part and everything else, you just got to make sure you keep mentally sharp. For the other parts that you know, make sure you got the right ones in there and you don't make a mistake. Easy to make mistakes. It's very easy. Okay, there's two more in. These guys are going to go straight in to the checked file right away. We want them either to be pointing this way or pointing towards me for polarity. And 4.7 to 50. 562 is that way. I just want to double check, make sure 562 is the one that's further back. Yes, 566. Excellent. Okay. We gotten this whole side of the board. One thing I like to do is if I'm questioning where the holes are, I like to do this. I can see all the holes from the roof. Like, there's a couple more that I want to install in the top half. Just got one down here in this corner, which is 571. So here's 571. And then there's one other one over here, which is 651. So 571 is this one. We'll green it. 651. 651 is a... Oh, yeah, here. I get to show you my gripe. Look at this. When I got these... I bought a large amount of these. And... this is one thing that you don't get to know how much lead you're getting on your capacitor. These are brand new Nishikans. I ordered them from Mauser, and I ordered like a bulk amount, like 100 of them. 25 volt, 1000 Nishikan. Look at that pre-cut lead on there. Pre-cut leads like that. Oh, they pre-cut the lead on every capacitor that I bought from that lot. So every one of them short. Now, normally it's not a big problem, but it's going to be a problem on this one because I remember every time I do this chassis, which I've done 3 of them in the last month, it makes me want to cry because I have to get under a heat sink and I have to actually get this in there and get it to hold in place. And it's very tough. You'll get to see me do it here in a minute. But that's just like the griping old man in me again. Fat fingers and capacitors with no length on the leads. So it's like, oh, it's pre-cut. It's so great, except for the fact that it doesn't hold itself. into the board well. You got to bend it like that. It's okay. It's okay. It's just, it's not really something that you get to choose. Like, I don't believe there's a listing on there on the data sheet that tells you how long the lead of the part is. It says the spacing of the leads. But that happens every once in a while. Pre-cut from the factory. And see, normally you're like, oh, that doesn't really matter. But when you see where I have to put it, where I have to put one of them in a second, I mean, it's so tricky. I would like to upgrade the part, but the upgraded part is too big to fit. Okay. Happy little soldier blob. Happy little soldier blob. We've got this one installed now. And look at that thing. Did it go all ugly on me? A little bit. Let's push the back end of that out a little bit. All right. Now we're going to get to this tricky part. After I mark up my 25 volt 100 over here, pointing this direction. My 25 volt 1000. Right there. Okay. Let's see what those two are. These are about the two trickiest ones right here. Now this one's not too bad. 612, I think is the number. 612. It's 609. 609 is under there, right there is the pad. 609 is located under here. It's the hardest capacitor to get in here in the entire board. I mean, what's tougher than getting that one down in there? Like, down in here is where it's got to go. Let's wrestle. Let's wrestle the circuit board and see if we can get this down in here. Probably going to curse this thing out a few times. Where are you, number 609? Here you are, my beautiful friend. All right, let's try to do this. So it's got to go in this way, where the stuff's pointing towards me. Let's see if I can get that there. It's got to be pointing this direction, but you can tell that's not going to be easy. Let's see if I can get this down in here. Oh, man. This is when having sausage fingers is awesome. I might just get lucky, and since I'm talking so much trash about it, I'll just be able to slip it right down in there first try. No. I'm gonna... How about curved? Do you want to try curved? I'm gonna try the curved pretzels bend. Where'd you go? There you are. I may spend more time doing this than like recapping the whole board. It's all downhill after this, I promise. Holy moly. You don't want to get this one in backwards, that's for sure. Damn. Ay. I don't really want to remove the whole heatsink, because it shouldn't be that difficult. Come on, baby. This is like the old operation. Oh, you almost had it. Oh, I literally had it like the best chance of it the first time I was playing around in there. I don't know which one of these is gonna hold this stupid thing actually in place. Dude. Seriously? Oh, well. Let me see how big this 50 volt 1000 is. This is so, I mean, see, it's too big. It's too big. The replacement, that would be an upgrade. Too big. Too big. Too big. What's up, Shane? I mean, this is completely annoying. Try to stick my finger down in here so I could shrink. Go all Alice in Wonderland in here. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, we're gonna get it this time. Come on. Come on. So close, man. Oh, we got it. We got it. Now I just got to get it to not move and flip it over to solder it. So I'm pushing the... Ay. If I drop this, I'm going to be so upset. All right, let's just put a little solder on the edge of my thing here. Oh, baby, come on. I'm literally holding this all with those tweezers. Okay. Yes! 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 Now I'm gonna cry if I turn this over and it's not pointing the right direction. Oh, it's correct. You can see it in there. Barely. See? Gosh, it's even hard to get a good view of that capacitor under there. Way under here. Oh, man, we got it, though. Forget it. Forget it under there. Woo! All right. Now we can breathe easy. The rest of this should be close to simple compared to that. I got 2 more capacitors, 3 more over in that, maybe 4 more over in that area. We're going to go with this one next, right in there. 612, 611. 611 and 612, perfect. 612, smaller, so it's 50 volt. $50 volt 2.2 for 612. Oh, now you got long leads and you get like the opposite problem where everything just cross-threaded itself. Where the heck did that go? Hiding. Like, look at this stuff. Get out of here. It's like, the leads are long, they're short. Nothing's just right, I tell you. Now look at this. Get out of here. See how awkward it is just trying to move around a chassis? Got the anode cap flopping around, getting in your way. These ones are kind of a pain in the knuckle, so we'll go ahead and do them one at a time. There we go. Beautiful. 612, goodbye for you. 50 volts, 2.2. Again, another one I can't really see, but I could see it's the right direction. Just a lovely mark on my inductor coil. We're going to go 451, 632. What's this big one right here? I can't see it. 611, 611, 5470. This is a big one. Where are you, big one? 5470. There's a big one. That one's going right there. Is there one going in front of that? No. We'll go ahead and throw this one in. Ooh. I'm going to go ahead and get 611. $611 done. Completely obnoxious. Six one one. Look over here. That's this one. Six. We've got three right in there next to it, which we'll do those now. 625. It's these three. 451. Yeah, man, I mean, this is like, you gotta have a little bit more space if you're working on a CRT, just because you're flopping boards all over the place. 611 though, I'll move it from here. All right, we've got our four up top, which we're over in this area. We've got these three. We'll do these three. 451 is easy to spot. It's 50, 0.47, the one red capacitor I've got in the whole kit. We got a 5047 for 632. Oh yeah. Finally 625, which is a 50 volt 10. I did get some cool 50 volt 10s. They're a little bit wider and a little bit shorter. That's really the only difference between them and like past 50 volt 10s I bought. I like the shape of these more because I can see that they see what the value is without even really seeing the capacitor completely. Right here's our cluster. Okay. We will all right, there's those three. And again, I can visually see that's the 50 volt 10, which is 625, 632, 5047. Also visually tell it the difference on both of them, all three of them. I can visually see that. Awesome. Okay, that's the most awkward capacitors in this board now. Just need to do simpler ones. Let's go over here up top. 634. 2547. $635 is 54.7. That should be right here. Sure. Let's make sure this is 54.7. Yes. And then we have 42 and 72. No, 47. I was reading the wrong one. That's right. So 47, 647 is a 25 volt. That's a 54.7. Well, almost put the wrong one in. See how easy that happens? You grab the wrong one from your stack, and I could have just thrown that right in over here, and that would have been the wrong capacitor. This is 2547 for 647 according to the list. And then the final one is another one that looks unique. This big green one for 5220. Big, beautiful green cap. Hunter green, just like all the old lovely Eddie Bauers from the 1990, like the Eddie Bauer edition Explorer. All like that awesome hunter green. All right, come on, baby. Lovely. Got on my cluster. Here we go, fourth one. Okay. Wonderful. Just put it on there for a second. As it gets hot, introduce that solder. Sometimes you gotta do it a little bit longer. Don't do it too long though. Beautiful. Beautiful. Lovely welds. All right, those four are installed. I won't remove them. I'd like to just, let's see. Double check everything. C635. Okay, everything's good. Make sure they're all pointing in the right direction. Excellent. Not too much left now. Not too much. We're pushing up on, gosh, we're almost on 3 hours. But that's okay. We don't have too much time left. Whoa, that wasn't cool. See that stupid anode cap? Just hooked my hot soldering iron. Almost threw it in my lap. When your CRT really wants to do you in, it starts doing stuff like that when you're working on it. That's not very nice, CRT. That's not very nice, Mr. Sony. Let's go maybe the back end here, this area, by the flyback. Got this one right here, 585. Is that what it says? 589? 989, 589, right there, 589. 22, 100 volt 22. I don't think I have a 100. I think we've gone and upgraded this one to 250 volts 22, but that's okay. That's right next to the flyback. That's the flyback. That's a yoke connection. This is a high heat area, so upgrading that is a good idea. And then next to it, we've got 663. What is 663? 54.7. Yes, 663. Go through and put a few of these in before I start soldering them into the board spots here. See if I can get a little better angle for you. We've got 597. No, 597 over here. And 595. Okay, both of those are the same. 595 and 597. Where are those? 597, 595 right next to it. Great. Those are two 25 volt 220s. These two. So this is our section up here that we're actually working on over here. Sorry for that glare. That's better right in this area. We got 4 of them. Sometimes you have to let it sit there for a minute. Don't worry about that heat on your finger. After you do this for a few years, you won't even tell. Like, you'll have a high tolerance for heat on your fingers like that. You won't be able to feel that. One, two, three. Then there's one more up here. Way all the way up here. Beautiful. And 4. Do these 2 and then we'll do the others. Look at that. That point right there looks like it needs a fresh solder. So does this point. Looks ugly. Go ahead and do that real quick. There we go. Beautiful. Bing, bang, bong, boom. Right here is 545. $515, 527, is that right? 545, 527, and 515, yes. So here's 527, here's 545, and here is 515. Yeah, right? Okay, cool. Let's go. Man, there's still all these. 515. Right here. $527. Right here. 547. Right there. Right. No, 545. What is it? Hang on. Bend these. 545, 527. All right, that's right. I was just, no, reciting the wrong numbers. So area right here. Cool. And there we go. There's those three. There we go. Those three are in. Turn those green over here. And again, the ones that are still green, which is the last 7 that I've done, I'm actually going to go through and check again. Like after the fact, so you can see me do that. Because I've kind of been doing the quality control work as I'm going, which isn't very smart. In order to catch yourself making a mistake like that. So I want to leave some of them for checking purposes. All right, we've got 6, 7, 8, 9, no, just 7 left, which is all over here, all over here. C590 is the small one, and everything else is large. There's 590, 50 volt 10. What's the one next to it? 624. 624, 250 volt 10. That's a pretty big one. There you go. Yep, 250 10. That's another upgrade. You'll notice I don't carry a lot of stuff that's 160 volts. I usually just upgrade it to 250 most of the time. It's just not. I think it's better just to keep less in stock and just upgrade it as opposed to keeping both 160 and 250 in stock, and you're not really saving. You're not saving any money by just dropping down to 160. I mean, maybe if you were doing this on a production scale of Sony when you're back making hundreds of thousands of this TV, you want to have things optimized as far as cost savings, where if you had a capacitor that cost 2 cents less because it's 160 volts and you were making 200,000 of these, it would actually make sense to optimize that capacitor and not spend extra when it's not needed. But when you're doing things on a smaller scale, it's just easier to not have every single part in stock all the time. That's every value on voltage, since it literally makes almost no difference if you increase your voltage. Those two done. Make sure this way. It should point that way or that way. Okay, there's 2. And then we have Grimpy. We have 25220 or 2200. And then this one. Which one's going where? 25033. Where are you going? Over here? Let's see if we can maybe Give ourselves extra room. These are where those two big ones need to go. Hopefully we won't have trouble with it, but that's going to be the final two capacitors, so we'll just see. .616 is the 25-220. Where's the other one? 650. Right there, right there. Got another one of these. Man, that is such bull. That is twice now, guys. That is twice now live. My, like, sabotaging... I don't know which one's trying to sabotage me more. The soldering iron, or the chassis, or the capacitor. It almost came flying off again into my lap, the soldering iron. So, if you weren't here to see it, you wouldn't believe me that I was being attacked by another CRT wizard out there. Casting bad juju over here. Come on now. Yesterday I was working, getting things ready for this stream, and I had the barrel of the FR301. I was cleaning it, and it just flew out of the sheet and onto the floor, onto my carpet. The hot barrel after I'd just been using it. So I had to scramble to get some pliers down there and get it. It had melted into the carpet. And I had to clean the carpet, or clean the whole thing up. Thankfully, nothing caught on fire. I got it pretty quickly. Okay. There you go. There you go. Where's the rest of it? There you are. 650. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3. What was the other one? Oh, it was just 3. And we're on the last two. The last two. So we'll go ahead and green all this. Our last two are going in. That's these two we just put in, that little one. Nice. So we have to get these two in here. These are big, but I think we can do it. The leads aren't too far apart. Ugh, it's not going to go all the way down. We can bend that guy. Yeah, we'll bend that little resistor a little bit. Won't make any difference. Let's get this other one in here. Oh yeah, look at that. It's not going to be perfectly set, but it's going to be good. It's going to fit. Especially considering we're getting extra durability here. Oh, look at you trying to steal my solder mat. Come on. We are almost done. Yeah. Corrupt Nick. Who, yes, it's probably old people dust, or, you know, I hate to say it, the dust is going to be made of their old skin. You can open it and clean it. But yeah, that's a problem. Oh man. Imagine you're dead for 20 years, but the DNA of your skin is still intact inside your CRT for the next 50. Why is that so weirdly funny? Oh. Imagine being like 100 years from now, they could clone you from a DNA sample they find inside a CRT. Sorry, that's kind of dumb. Oh, I found a spot over here. Come on. Guess I missed a capacitor over here. Okay, everything's looking good. Everything looks good. We're gonna go. I'm gonna do some touch-up resoldering here, since everything else is done, and then we'll check. Like I said, I'm not gonna go through and do the full cleaning. I'll disassemble and do that later, because otherwise I'll just have to wait till tomorrow to test it. Put fresh solder on these input connections. These are physical connections that take abuse over time. So it's very easy for these to eventually break the solder joint, and then you'll lose the ability to use the input. Let's see, I also pretty much like to solder these buttons. Which these are the buttons that you press every time to use the TV and power it on, get the menu going, change volume. So we want all those buttons to always work. Okay. Now just make sure, again, we're going to go through and look all this. I'm going to look at all this before I, of course, install it. We're going to do quality control stuff, like I said, because I don't want to... I mean, the odds are low that I've got anything bridged, but I want to make sure I don't have any points bridged. One needs ground, so it needs some extra heat. And that's all my buttons. That's all the buttons. All right. And now we can move over. Let's do this point over here. Let's do the... we're going to do fly bag. All right. Now this, you'll see tons of smoke. It's literally flowing right up and out the window. It's not even coming near my face, thankfully. But since I'm using a lot of solder on these points, a lot of that flux rosin core is evaporating. And that's pretty good right there. Everything else looks okay. I go up here, like this IO area right here, or ends mostly. See, I think you can add, this is where you need to add like a lot of those points of parts if you want to add this video. And again, this kind of work is all preventative because this mechanically like won't break down. It's because over time, again, people put pressure on these points with removing and inserting and removing inputs 1,000 times into these receptacles, and naturally that will break the solder just over time as it breaks down. All right, I'm turning my soldering iron off. We're going to do some, I'm going to just start quality control checking this as far as making sure nothing's grounded against each other. You can do stuff like this to make sure that, I don't know that that's going to matter. It's probably okay. Got one up here that's grounded out against it. I mean, it probably is supposed to be, but I don't really want it to sit there, so I'm going to try to move it, the blob of solder, a little bit. It's good. And this would not be, well, it's still like touching. And I don't think it matters. I mean, it probably is both ground points. Just have too much solder on it. That's good. Okay. All right. Turn that back off. All those are good, good. Just rechecking the solder points. Everything looks fine. I'm going to go get some brushes. I'm not going to chemically clean it, but we're still going to physically clean it with some brushes. And then we'll come and we'll check the values on the top. All right, so just pretend I was dousing this in chemicals. And that's basically how I would clean it, would be like this with a towel. I'm doing this right now, though, to make sure that no little pieces are stuck to the board, like tiny pieces of metal. I'll hold it up here, make sure no points are not soldered. Thing looks good. I'm going to blow off the workspace area just because there's little fragments of metal all over it. All right. That's everything. Looking good on that side. This board, same thing. I don't really want to do it over that, but it's good. That one's not nearly as different as worked on. Okay. We can go through and do the final QC. Yes, this is the BA6 chassis. Check the rest of these capacitors out here off the list. Mm. 650. Yep. 5010. Yep. It's 220s. And then that one is a 33. Yep. Okay, so we can remove this point to none. F97, 663, 50 volt, 220, 545. This is 22. That one's 4.7, 250, yes. Okay. All right, everybody, that's all of them. That's the complete kit. We just did all of it. Now, like I said, normally I'd go through and clean this. And, but today we're not doing that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to reinstall this. And now we're going to do a test run. Because we've checked it. Everything looks good. All the other parts look good. I don't see anything else that needs to be concerned about. So we'll reinstall it now and test our work. Okay, let's go straight up to the Sony. Remember how all this was taken apart? Ooh. Not a whole lot to plug back in. All right. Slide that guy in there. Well, here's something I don't remember, whether which one of these is the, I'm gonna have to look back at the pictures for which one is the rotation connection. I always manage to forget. I think I forgot to take the picture of it. That's hilarious. The one point I didn't want to forget. Well, I don't think I have to even plug the velocity modulator in. That's got to be right. This would go over to the side. That's how it is. All right. This thing still needs quite a bit of cleaning. You know, like I said, I'm not using that. Ooh. All right, we are ready to test finally. I'm not going to make you wait. I have, my only fear is when I test it and like you have the frame kind of hanging a little bit. I don't want it to short. You don't want to have any electricity jump on you. So, make sure everything's cleared out from under there. And this is going to put additional strain on that. It's probably not great. But we could put something, I got an idea. I got a great idea. Here's what we'll do. Maybe we'll put a little DVD box under there. About bootleg Transformers movie. So there's this piece of plastic right here. I'm just going to set that under it to hold it. Not touching anything, it's just touching the bottom of that plastic part. And it's gonna hold the circuit board up. And now, do one last check, make sure everything's plugged in. Some light. That I want plugged in. Get that stuff out of the way. It's all good. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Feel like everything's right there. I need to check one spot just to make sure that I have the correct Yeah. I was just checking to make sure the degausseur is correctly installed. I'm going to wheel this around now. All right, we're all reset. You make sure that everything looks fine. In focus. Okay. Now I'm going to engage power on the wall strip. And let's just hope for the best. All right, here we go. Open sesame. I can hear it powering on. Standby is clicking. And there we go. All right, we have a really bright screen right now. It's coming back down. Our convergence is, that's normal for it to start up like that. The convergence is off because I've got to adjust the convergence now that I've cleaned that circuit, which is just this black box. There we go. There we go. Which is just that black box on the side of your NEC or CV board. There's a horizontal static convergence adjustment right there. I do have the brightness turned down. Specifically, I wanted it like that. And first off, let me see. Also, something that happens is you can have the focus circuit drift on the flyback. So I'm going to turn that a little bit, try to get it a little bit more focused. This one. Oh yeah. There we go. See, those two adjustments go hand in hand with the flyback. You have that convergence. The convergence needs to be aligned good, and so does the focus, and that gives you a really sharp image. Back to where we started, though. There you go. It's perfect. There's not a problem here. Successfully done. We've done it. See if I've got any kind of alternate view. I mean, I definitely have my face only that has both the CRT in view as well as the other thing. So we got it done. Took 3 hours and 40 minutes. Oh boy. Yeah. Okay, good timing too, because my family's going to be home in like 15 minutes. So there you go, guys. I know you can't see it great because that camera's got a scroll on it. Let me show you. It's looking awesome. This thing looks really great. Again, if you want more tips on how to make it look awesome, go watch the most recent video that's not a live stream. It's about the BA6 chassis, and it will tell you how to make it look good. One of the things that causes issues with your image quality on these TVs is definitely the rotational hardware. I mean, it adds awful noise to the image, the rotational hardware, and that's just rotational design hardware on the back of the TV that allows you to basically fix screen tilt without actually having to change the yoke. So just to disable that, unplug the rotational stuff, and then max out the setting to 255 under the TROT in your service menu. That's got details in that video on how to do it. You also want to make sure the yoke's nice and flat, but it can have an awesome picture. Just look at that. I mean, that looks really, really great for an BA6 chassis. All right, everybody, I really appreciate anybody who's hung out all day today. This was a fun experience. I have not had the opportunity to sit down and do a cool live stream like this in a long time, I feel like. Also, I'm sorry, I know it's like a lot of... The cameras aren't the greatest as I'm working with right now. Hopefully I can upgrade it. It's kind of like... We'll make it go as we can. And upgrade piece by piece slowly. And then I can do more live streams like this on just CRTs I'm working on as opposed to full-length videos. Also, I have some cool projects that I do have video filmed for. It's more consumer-grade stuff. I have some CRT art stuff, too, that I think you guys are going to enjoy. Thanks again for watching. If you came in late, you can go back to the beginning. We started with the CRT looking pretty close to the way it is now, and then just went through and did the full cap kit. A total of 47 capacitors, folks. 47 capacitors changed. Perfect result. The only thing I'd do differently is actually clean it and then test it. So thanks again, everybody, for joining me. I hope you appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time with some more retro.